welcome to Still Buffering, a sister's guide to teens through the ages. I am Riley Smirl.
And I'm Sydney McElroy.
And I'm Taylor Smirl.
Well, sisters, we have a special guest on this week.
We do.
Yes, we do. As we are wont to do on Still Buffering. Because we are lucky enough to have a large and, I think, very interesting family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of...
It's another word for weird, but that works.
Sure, either way. I think we have a lot of what I was going to call fun characters in our family.
Interesting characters.
Yes. And so we have another one of them on today by virtue of the fact that Taylor is currently in Taiwan.
What's up? It's like 5 a.m. here, so we can record with you guys on time. Sorry.
Thank you. It made our lives easier.
Yeah.
Yep. You got a comfortable 5 p.m. rocking over there.
Yeah, we're ready and raring to go.
Yeah, ready for dinner.
I had extra coffee. So let's introduce our cousin Kyle to the show.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm cousin Kyle.
We're going to have to give you a better name than that.
Well, there's alliteration.
Well, no, he has a name. We just can't say it.
No, that's true. There's no profanity on the show, as we like to remind all family that joins us.
I'm a man of many names, evidently. West Virginia Caveman has come up.
Oh.
That's what one of the coaches here at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy I train at has dubbed me a West Virginia Caveman.
That's fair.
So there we go. So
Yeah.
we have so far Skittles Joe, Scampy Mike, and West Virginia Caveman.
It's a superhero team.
Yeah.
I don't know how good of a superhero team.
Not an entirely effective one, but
Yeah.
a team
It
nonetheless.
exists.
We got Skittles, we got Scampy, and a cave.
So, Kyle, when we have a guest on our show, the first thing we always like to ask them to kind of introduce you to the audience is, like, how did you teen?
I teened alone. No, I mean, but in a good way, like in a good way. Kind of like I listened to a couple of episodes ago where I think you were talking about how to books, maybe, or you asked Taylor how she teened, and I think it was a similar kind of. I didn't really have a lot of friends, but it wasn't by unfortunate circumstance. It was more about choice. I just was kind of comfortable doing my own thing. I had a really solid friend, or like maybe one or two, and then a pretty solid family filled with strange characters that I often hung out with. Like I think your mom posted about in the group, and so I just didn't feel maybe the need to be quite as social as maybe other teens were. I spent a lot of time like playing guitar, like learning how to play guitar, and being kind of angsty. I mean, like. I think my teen angst level was average. I had long hair.
Is that when you started to get interested in like languages? Because obviously that has kind of carried you.
That
where you
actually
are in
started.
life now.
That started when I was in middle school. The school I was at, we had Latin, and we really hated the nun that taught Latin at our school, and we tried everything to get her fired.
Don't admit that, God can hear you.
We tried everything to get her fired, and it worked. She got fired, and then we got
Wait! You got the nun fired?
we got the nun fired. Yeah, we
Kyle.
treated her. I mean, well, she was terrible. She was like a really mean nun. You know, you get the mean nuns and the nice nuns. She was a bad nun.
It's a good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop.
Mean nun, good nun.
St. Peter's going to have a lot of questions about this one, Kyle.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to you having to answer them.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, the upshot of getting a nun fired was that we got this really mean woman from the Bronx to replace her, who spoke Spanish because she was like half fully Puerto Rican, and she was like a drill sergeant and really intense. But I think, I found out through having exposure to Latin and like just osmosis, like picking some of it up, I made the transition to studying Spanish a lot easier. And then like getting exposure to Spanish at a young age, I think was the first thing that really got me interested in languages. And it was also a matter of just interest. Like school subjects didn't interest me at all, and Spanish was the only one that I found to be of much interest, and that remained true through high school. And then that's how I discovered linguistics, where you could study about learning other languages. And I ended up getting my undergraduate in Spanish and my master's in linguistics because of that. So,
well, I think that is very cool.
Yeah.
And I think that it is a great lead-in to what we're going to talk about this week, which, is another way to expand your horizons is traveling and going different places.
All around the globe.
That's right. Or as a teenager, I don't think most of us are lucky enough to travel all around the globe.
No.
Probably.
The farthest place I've been outside of the U.S. is Canada. For a day.
We did take you to Canada for a day.
On my birthday.
Yeah, we took Riley to Vancouver with us when we did our live Sawbones in Vancouver in Mabim and we got stuck in Toronto.
What?
Is that where we got stuck at the airport because we missed our flight?
Oh yeah, Toronto.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
It was very stressful. 24 hours trying to get back to West Virginia.
I had school the next day. It was an ordeal.
So that was our entire 2 days in Canada trip. Yeah. One of them was spent desperately trying to leave Canada. Nothing against Canada. We just couldn't get home. We were just like, please.
Canada.
Riley had school. I have work. We have a baby with us. But I think most of the traveling that you do as a teenager is probably with your family. Riley, as a current teenager, let me ask you, do you like our family vacations? I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
No, you got to answer. You got to answer clear and right and now.
I can't say no.
That's right.
We all go.
You can't.
We all go to the beach every year
no,
together.
I love our family vacations. I really have a lot of fun on our family vacations.
Because it occurs to me, we were kind of talking about this earlier, that as an adult now, we kind of get to pick, we have a little bit of input into what we do, or at least once we get there, what we want to do while we're there, and we make some decisions, and we have money and the ability to travel. And as a teenager, you don't necessarily have all those things. So you're just kind of at the whims of your family. Is that okay?
I mean, yeah, because you all always pick fun things to do. But I mean, if you were picking boring things, I'd probably be like, guys, come on. I gotta do something exciting. Gotta do something teen type.
What's not teen type about eating low country boil in Savannah?
It's very teen type.
Is your phone what saves you? Just the constant...
The constant what?
Stream of whatever is coming in.
You're just tapping your fingers
I'm just
together.
tapping. I'm typing in the air around me.
The constant typing?
The constant phoning.
I don't really use my phone a lot on vacation. I'm take pictures, text people if they text me. I mean, mostly a vacation, I, chill on the beach, eat some low country boil.
Our father is a huge fan of low country boil.
That is his scampi?
That is his scampi.
That is his scampi.
Low country boil Tom.
Find your tardigrade, find your scampi. Yeah, that's our dad, low country Tom.
He is definitely low country Tommy. He loves his low country boil, and we eat so much of it. And it used to be one of my favorite things, and now I'm just I'm good. I've had enough in my life.
I remember this past year we went, every place that we would go, well, it's there's one place we always go where we always get a low country boil and we all share it.
It's their specialty. That's the thing they do.
That's the thing they do. So we get a big one for the table. But this year Dad decided that he wanted to get a personal one every restaurant we went to. So he had 6 low country boils while we were on vacation for 7 days.
Hey, let the man enjoy what he enjoys, all right?
We had to rank all the different ones, based on which one had the best shrimp, but which one did the potatoes the best, but where was the sausage the spiciest?
Except for, to be fair, Dad's rankings are all this was pretty good. Well, this was pretty good too. Well, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Well, this is really good. Low country boil.
I also think Dad has kind of low standards for food. Is it meat? Yes. Is it a potato? Yes. He likes it. That's it.
I can eat this. It's a 10.
That's why it's the low country boil. Expectations are not so high.
Low country standards.
But I just look back and I think, when I was a teenager during family vacations, I enjoyed them. I don't want to say I didn't, because I did.
Mhm.
I liked the beach and I liked our family. So that was fine. But there was always now I didn't have a phone. I didn't have anybody to text or talk to or call. But I would always be a little removed from it. I'm a little too cool for this.
I'm too cool for my family.
Because this just isn't where I am right now. With the whole,
Yeah, I wasn't like that. I'm not like that.
Well, did you feel that way, Tay? On our family vacations, did you feel that kind of sitting with your headphones on, listening to music, looking out the window as we drove somewhere, thinking oh, here I am again. The family, writing the book chapter in your head, the angsty book chapter, because I was always like that.
Writing the book chapter?
You know what I mean? The angsty teen
level high.
narration.
Yes. I mean, as someone who's and maybe she just hides it well, but someone who's been on many vacations with Riley through her teens, I feel like she kind of leans into the family vacay. Maybe she's still teening, she's teening it up on her phone a little bit here and there, but I feel like she kind of, I would assume that she's there, she's having fun, and I kind of always felt the same way. I'm just happy to have the time off, to have the time to I don't know. I guess it's when, you could, maybe it's, you want to be alone. You don't necessarily want to be around your family, but just having the time to sit on the beach and listen to music and draw your angsty sketches in your sketchbook. That feels really, maybe I was just super psyched to be writing the chapter. You were bummed about it. I'm yeah, it's that chapter where I'm stuck with my family.
I was always having romantic fantasies that and then that person that I've been crushing on, I'll walk down on the beach and it turns out his family was taking vacation at the same time, and then we'll take a walk on the beach together and hold hands.
Spoiler alert, it never happened.
Well, according to the pre-show discussion, it happened on the bus, right? That's how that happens.
We were talking about school trips a little bit, and I won't belabor this because I think I seem to be the only one here who did a lot of bus trips in high school.
Yeah, and you spent your time, I guess, you were having a lot of fun on those bus trips.
No, so when the show choir would go places,
fun bus.
I took trips with the soccer team, and we weren't really making out on the soccer team bus. We were going to the game, and sometimes singing songs. But on the bus I went to a lot of show choir tournaments. There was a lot of making out that happened. I just thought that was normal. On a school bus trip, it's it's long, and especially if it was at night, and the lights turn off, and you're allowed to sit wherever you want, and if you have an SO on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was normal.
Spaghetti option?
Yeah, spaghetti option. An SO.
What does that mean?
A significant other.
Oh.
So I just thought that's what happened on bus trips. You made out. That was the whole thing. We used to take trips to the amusement park Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we used to do that all through school, and it was all about getting to go make out without people supervising you. That's why we did it. Was I the only teenager who did this?
I mean, I've never done that.
I've never done that.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't recall taking any trips anywhere, let alone
Sydney, maybe you're the only one
making
doing that
out
on the
them.
bus.
Why is it just me?
You were maybe just cooler than all the rest of us in that one in the back of the bus aspect. You were the queen of cool.
Plot twist. Sydney is cool.
That would definitely be a plot twist.
Plot twist.
I think that maybe just that, that side of me just awakened, just woke up a little earlier than for you guys. So
I will say that I find that when you travel, you really you kind of remember who you are, and you get in touch with what you really care about. So clearly, Sydney, you just cared about making out with dudes on buses. When you finally left your surroundings behind, I could just let you be you. It was about making out with dudes on buses.
I can think of a worse way to spend your time, frankly.
Sydney.
I'm just saying. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Sorry, not sorry.
On the bus.
You go, girl.
One thing in terms of, family vacations that I did want to bring up was And Riley, I think that the split in our age, you coming along so long after Taylor and I, like you did, has been super cool, and obviously has led to, like, you know, the existence of this show, which is awesome.
Well, yeah.
But I do wish you could have been there we took a trip. It was my senior trip. And we've mentioned several times that growing up, we had a lot of family that we were super close to, which maybe replaced the need for a lot of friends in a lot of cases. But for my senior trip, I had a lot of friends who were going to the beach with all their buddies, and we're going to probably do things that were dangerous.
Making out in the bus.
I think, yeah, we'll say that, Riley. Making out on the bus is what they were going to do. But instead, we took a senior trip. It was my senior year, and Taylor came, and Kyle came, and our other cousin Joe came.
Skittles Joe.
Skittles Joe.
We've revealed the identity of
Oh,
Skittles
no.
Joe.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Nobody knew.
Oh well.
Nobody knew for
Sorry.
sure.
Hey, Skittles Joe. I'm not sorry.
The world needed to know.
The world needs to know.
Come out of hiding.
Gotham needs a hero.
Took off his mask.
So my senior trip was the four of us, and it was a super great trip. We went down kind of the East Coast, visiting with various members of our family. And it started off very nice. We visited our Uncle Rick and Aunt Shen, and it was all very...
We ate falafel.
Yeah.
It was
very
delicious.
appropriate.
Our palates were not very advanced at that stage.
Yeah,
I think
it was pretty disgusting at the time.
I know I love falafel, and they give us cold tofu too. And I was like, "Oh God, what is this?" And I think
Yeah.
back, and I'm just ashamed of my younger self.
Yeah.
But you know, kudos
I
to them
remember
still
the-
for pushing us.
That was the first time I had Popeyes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Jambalaya was a whole new concept.
I know, and I still remember Uncle Rick ordering etouffee, and me thinking, etouffee? What did he just say? What is that? And it was delicious, and I loved it.
What is it?
It's like some sort of ricey dish.
I still don't know, but I'd eat it any day.
Jambalaya. It's all.
Some sort of spicy, ricey.
Spicy ricey.
Spicy
You guys can say that for
ricey.
How to Cajun.
Yeah, really.
Spicy dicey ricey.
I've obviously never had Popeyes since. It was just that time. And then we moved on down to our aunt and uncle in Savannah, Georgia. That's when we uncovered a blow up doll in the closet, and
In the process
we're all
of
very
making a
confused.
short film,
No,
actually.
We're shooting a movie, and,
Yeah.
and Kyle, you and Joe ran in the closet because you were being
I'm gonna hide in the closet and jump out, and then like on camera, I jump out and I'm like, "Hey guys, there's this thing. What is this thing? It's a man, and he's plastic.
He's going, "Ooh, no."
Yeah, he has a surprised facial expression.
Was this before or after you sat on all of the Little Debbie snacks in the back?
It had to be
This was after.
after
Because that's what we took on the road with us, was just a giant bag full of Little Debbie cakes.
Yes.
which I promptly sat on.
That's
This was
key
before
to-
Skittles Joe was Skittles Joe. He might have been Little Debbie Joe.
Yeah, I think so. Oatmeal cream pie Joe.
Nothing he's doing.
Or driving shorts Joe.
He did have driving shorts. I think that this highlights a key thing when you start traveling places as a teenager. You start learning like how to pack, so that when you get older, you get better at it, and you realize like, for a road trip, we should probably pack more than Little Debbie's. I remember
We've got cosmic pies and oatmeal pies. We're good, guys.
I remember another spring break trip I went on. This is actually in college though, where it was Joe and I, and then my boyfriend at the time and his friend. And they brought each like 2 liters of soda, and Joe and I were like shaking our heads like, you can't do that, man. Do you know how often we're gonna have to stop to pee? That's unacceptable. That's not how you trip.
That's not
Like,
how you road trip.
You don't road trip like that. Get rid of those right now. We're not stopping every time you have to deal with that Mountain Dew you've been chugging. So the trip continued down to Scampy Mike's,
The one and only.
where we almost lost Kyle for good.
Yeah. Real talk. Barely made it out of there.
That was just our first experience with the combination of vodka and orange juice.
Well, that was my first experience. I'm pretty sure you guys had like
Yeah, probably not ours.
dabbled. Actually, I like if you could back it up to when we were in Virginia. That was the first time that I remember actually having any alcohol. I kind of like
Really?
arranged this. Yeah, I was like, it's like, hey Joe, you know that vodka you got there? Let me have a sip. And I remember trying it and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get drunk on this trip. I've never had any alcohol. But I'm gonna get drunk. Yeah, and I didn't just get drunk. Like that was the whole thing. When you don't know how terrible alcohol tastes and how terribly it makes you feel, you're like impervious to its nastiness. You're like, oh, this is fine. I'll just keep drinking this. Hey, it's not working yet. Maybe I should drink more. I think it was like an entire bottle of, it was like 20 some odd shots of some clear liquor later. And I remember distinctly going to the refrigerator to open the door and like try to grab something and just losing my balance entirely. Just been like, hands off. I'm not in control here. I'm falling down. A bowl of diced tomatoes is falling on me, and I'm somehow falling in cat food. And the next thing my family knows is they hear sounds and they come in and there's me, there's cat food, there's glass, there's tomatoes.
Yeah, that's how we found him.
The good part of all this was I did discover my strangely specific superpower, and that's that later that night when you were passed out on the couch above me and I was laying on the floor in a sleeping bag, dead sleep. It's like my spidey sense was tingling, and I just woke up and rolled left just as he just puked right where my head was. Like that's my mutant ability. It's very rarely useful, but when someone's about to puke on my head, I know.
I wake up immediately and I get out of there.
It's a maneuver.
So
Do a barrel
Riley, this
roll.
is another important lesson that we're teaching you right
Don't
now.
drink ever.
Yes, which is that when you're a teen and you're especially when you don't have like parental influence around and you're traveling, so you feel like I'm free from the from the binds that that hold me, that I don't have parents here to govern my actions. I'm not in my hometown. Nothing counts. There are no rules. Sometimes you make some bad decisions. The important thing is that we all survived.
Yeah. And we grew from it. We figured, I totally did. After that, I understood the dangers of alcohol, and if you completely drink it unchecked and don't know what you're doing.
And diced tomatoes.
And and the aftermath can sometimes be a little bit messy. Can involve cat food, tomatoes, glass.
Which does speak to, that is one of the nice things I always think about, like family vacations. Our yearly vacation is usually at the beach, and we all go together. And still, now that I'm married and I have my own baby, we come along.
You own baby?
My own baby, not
I thought you said I own baby.
I thought you said I am baby.
No, my baby that I birthed.
Oh.
You didn't buy it? You don't just own it now?
No, I don't own her.
I own baby.
No, she makes the rules. I don't. I definitely am not in charge. I'm trying. But it's always kind of nice when it's like a family thing, because it feels very safe and very comfortable, and like you've got that kind of safety net with you the whole time and support. And I always found, even in my angsty teenage years, like it was always a very relaxing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
no pressure of like friends and keeping up appearances and trying to anything.
Well, and had that like now funny story about alcohol and diced tomatoes happen with a group of friends or people who didn't know how to do, didn't know how to be responsible. Then it could have been that could have been a terrible outcome. So yeah, it was.
That's true.
And they never maybe would have let you forget it. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, we always remind each other in a loving way. Hey, Kyle, remember that time you almost died and you were covered in tomatoes and cat food? Wasn't that funny?
Yeah, just ask Taylor.
Hey, Sid, remember that time that your Uncle Scampy Mike let you sleep in his driveway in the rain? Remember that? That was funny.
Good times. Good times.
Good times. We're all here now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Not every vacation is perfect. Sydney, I'm gonna remind you. We're gonna roll back the clock to one of our earliest vacations together, where we encountered a red tide.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
Their first grasp at fame as well.
we were what beach were we at? Do you
That was
remember?
I think that was the Gulf Shore.
We were in the Gulf Shores on vacation. This was before you, Riley. This predates
Oh.
you. I'm sorry. I know, in the sad days before Riley.
No, you're
Yeah.
okay that you missed this. Trust me, 100%.
Yeah, this wasn't. So we went to the beach and they were having a red tide. So this algae had bloomed and it was killing all the fish.
We learned about that in science class.
Did you learn about that? The important thing to know about the red tide is that there were dead fish everywhere. Everywhere on the beach we were at. And it was, I mean, you know, the thing about family vacations is like you plan them way in advance. Like you set work schedules around it. You make sure school, you know, I mean, usually it's the summer, school's out. Like you can't just say like, well, there's a red tide. We'll go next week.
Dead fish or no dead fish.
Nope, you're going.
We will vacation.
So we went and we were actually interviewed by the local news to ask, you know, like, here's a family vacationing during the red tide. It was Dad and Taylor and I. How is this going?
Awful.
And they asked that Dad said something, and then they asked me what I thought. And oh gosh, we would probably have been like, what, like 5 and 3, something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe 6 and 4, something in that age range. And they asked me, and I was like, you got to look where you're walking so you don't step on dead fish. Because that's literally how I used to sound.
Uh-huh.
And
It's Georgia.
They
It's
asked-
all right.
Taylor what she thinks. And Taylor's response was,
Yuck.
that was it.
What?
Yuck. So we were on the local news
Yes.
with our
10 minutes of fame.
with our insightful commentary on the red tide. Yuck.
I bet you could find that somewhere. I would have found
I
that.
hope not.
Well, it's a good thing
Clip of us.
you guys missed the era of the cell phone, or else you would have never, like, not only not living down that story, you'd have relived it, like, visually seen it over.
It would
and
have
over.
gone viral.
Yeah, it would
That
have gone
probably
viral.
would have. Now, Kyle, you took some probably pretty cool vacations, like in terms of family vacations, visits to Australia when you were younger.
Yeah. My dad has lived there for most of my life, so I used to go there every summer, which is actually kind of terrible because it's winter there, and people don't think of Australia as being particularly cold. But in the capital, Canberra, where he lives, it gets pretty nasty, pretty cold. And we'd actually go skiing, which is a thing you can do in Australia. It's not known for it. I wanted to
didn't know that.
jump back to the Waycross days and family vacations. Do you remember when we took, I think it was Dane, myself, his 2 brothers, and we took a trip down to Waycross, and all sorts of like inside jokes spawned from this. Maybe the best, the highlight of the trip, Dane missing his father, who was a police officer, and feeling that he wanted to call home. So naturally, as you do when you want to talk to the police, you call 911.
Dane is another one of our cousins, by the way. Yeah, and Kyle and Dane and some of our cousins came and visited us for a while. Taylor and I lived in Waycross, Georgia, before we moved up to West Virginia. And so so he called 911, and didn't he ask like, I can't find my dad?
I want to talk to my dad. I can't find him.
I know.
You tell 911.
Which is a disturbing call to get if you're a 911 operator.
It's a little bit out
so
there.
sad.
A little bit odd.
Oh, I mean, it was okay. He was just on vacation.
I know,
He was just on
Like his
vacation.
dad was just back home.
Yeah.
He made it back,
Yeah.
home.
Did he?
It's fine. Don't worry. Let me ruin the ending for you, Riley. It's
Oh.
happy.
Yeah. Let me ruin the ending. He pooped in the yard, and Tommy had to bury it with a shovel.
He did poop in
He
our
did
yard.
poop right under the
He's a
swing.
quad
What's
pooper.
going on? Everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's, they don't know who he is. He has a secret surname that you'll never discover.
I can't believe that now 2 weeks in a row on our show we've talked about people pooping outside.
It happens. Everybody poops.
But how old was Dane?
Oh, really? Like
he was
like
young.
young enough that
He
that
was a
was
little
totally
kid.
So
acceptable.
not a
Yeah.
high schooler.
No. A little kid.
I was gonna say back to traveling to Australia. It's actually one of those times that I realized, because my dad was working, he was living his life, and I was kind of on my own for a lot of it, that traveling by yourself. There are some people who really thrive on it. Some people who really enjoy just like, I'm going to go see this thing and I'm going to enjoy it. And there are other people like myself who feel like, this really awesome thing that I'm experiencing is kind of meaningless without somebody to share it with. It's almost like if it's just confined to my memory, it's going to be, like it's going to be maybe forgotten or lost, and not as easy to hold on to or remember if there isn't somebody else that shares it with you. And I find that I kind of fall into the camp of people who like to travel with other people for that reason.
I think that's an interesting thing too to learn about yourself. I think because I think you're right. There definitely are people who thrive on that. Taylor, I would say you're somebody who likes traveling by yourself.
Yeah, I've done a lot of solo traveling. I went across, I did some traveling across Europe. I've done Japan a couple times. This is actually the first time that I've been in a foreign country with somebody who is sort of, showing me around and kind of like having constant companionship, which has been wonderful. Like, I would not say that I prefer the other kind. It's more just like, given the opportunity to get out of the country, you don't necessarily always find people that are willing to get out with you. So, and solo traveling is beneficial in different ways. I think it does kind of make you learn what you're capable of and how much you can expect from yourself when you're the only one that's there for you. You have no familiar touch points. So for me, it's almost like, I think they're very different. Like, this is super enjoyable and fun when you have people around you, when you have family and friends. And then when you're by yourself, it's a completely different exercise. It's more about, learning your capabilities, kind of figuring out who you are when you're cut off from everything else that you've sort of defined yourself by.
There's a lot of rolling the dice when you're traveling by yourself. You're just like, this thing looks good. Maybe it's good. And then if it's great, you feel like a sense of accomplishment. And if it's not so good, even if it's not so good, you kind of like can pad that or like look past it. You're like, it's not that bad. It's just, wasn't great.
Yeah.
What do you think when we talk about this? Because I think that those are interesting points, because like I have done most of my traveling with people. Actually, I can't think of a time when I went by myself anywhere. So yeah, I was always with somebody. And I do think you're right. It's different because even when I felt challenged, you always have that safety net of, but I'm not in it alone. Justin and I always say that was the best thing we ever did for our honeymoon is we went to England and Ireland, and it wasn't like, I won't say it's very relaxing. It was like an adventure honeymoon, and we were traveling the whole time, and it was great because we learned to really count on each other when we got into some situations where stuff got canceled and we had to rework things. And anyway, Riley, looking at that, like, I know that you are considering some trips moving forward in high school, leaving the country and otherwise, like, how do you feel about that? Because you're going to, now you're still figuring out what camp you're going to land in.
What do you mean? Like, am I okay with going by myself?
Yeah. How would you feel about that?
I don't know. It's kind of exciting. Like, I'm by myself. Ooh, experiences. Ooh, I'm like an adult.
It really does challenge you in a different way to have to try to, fend for yourself. And, you can't look to somebody else to, let's say your flight gets canceled. What do you do?
Right. I mean, that happened. That actually happened last time I went to New York to visit Taylor. Justin was going up at the same time for something different, but I was going to go by myself, but Justin was like, I'm going up too, so let's just take the same flight. And Justin was like, okay, since you were going to do this by yourself, you lead the way through the airport, and we'll see if you can figure it out. So I got up our first flight, and we were I think we were in the Charlotte airport, so we go to the big place where the times for all the flights are and like what gate they're at, and I go to look for our next flight, and it says canceled, and I said, well, I have no idea what to do now. So that was an experience, because I was like, well, yeah, I'm glad I'm not by myself, because if I was by myself, I don't know what I'm doing. Just staying at Charlotte for a week until I have a flight home.
That's when Riley sits on the ground and goes, I need an adult. Help.
Help. Someone. one.
I think, but see, you're smart enough. You would have figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, the desk right there with like other people was there. I probably would have gone there next and been like, hey, I'm a child. My flight's canceled. What do I do?
I'm a child. Take care of me. I try that all the time. It doesn't work.
Just call 911. Tell them you're looking for your dad.
I miss my dad. Can I talk to my dad?
But I do think there's a benefit in, one thing that I've noticed as I've done some traveling medically with like going on medical trips, I'll run into people who are working with like volunteer organizations who are teenagers, and they're not usually from the US. And I think that this is something you see more frequently in other places, that it's normal for teenagers to go travel somewhere as a teenager by themselves to, for vacation or for fun, or also to do community service or charitable work, or for some sort of new experience, a job, oriented kind of experience, something like that. And I don't know if that is just a function of where we live in the US or our culture in general, that we don't send young people away as teenagers and say, go. Figure, find your way, figure it out, make it back to us. Here's our number. Do come home. But, I don't think that's something that we naturally do. Like say, bye, Riley. It's time for you to leave now for a while. We hope you come back.
I mean, I've never had that happen before. I've never had you all say, okay, bye.
Okay, leave now.
Do your friends travel? I mean, is it the same kind? Do they go on vacations with their family, or is it like, is there like an active interest in like, I don't know, like getting out of the country or going to specific places?
I have one or two friends that have gone out of the country before, but with their families, like on family vacations. Instead of like going to the beach, they go to like Europe. But other than that, no. My friends just do kind of same thing we do, like go to the beach once a year with their family, and sometimes go like out of town for a weekend or something like that. But that's it.
Well, it's kind of hard where we're from, like the middle of the East Coast. If you want to travel, there are all sorts of great places you can travel. But if you want to leave the country, you're looking at a pretty big commitment, time and money wise. Like I live in Taiwan. If I leave, like if I fly anywhere in an airplane, it's leaving the country. And that's like, I've noticed people here, they travel a lot, but I mean, it's mostly to other countries in the surrounding area. But a flight to Japan, for example, would be as quick and as convenient as a flight to New York back home. So that's like the geography of it all is interesting, because if you're from Europe, you're from Asia, you're from Africa, South America, traveling to another country is not such a hard to do thing, or such a big commitment.
Sure. Yeah. But I don't think that should be, because I'm somebody like I've never really had the funds to support my travel. I work really hard to save up for the trips I do take, because it is kind of a bummer thing. Like, it's any sort of pretense about like, oh, I've been somewhere. It's like, it's hard to get anywhere. I think it's a cultural thing. There's not an impetus on traveling when you're young in America. And it is in other cultures. It's easier as part of it. It's just much easier. It's much cheaper. But, it is, the second part of it is just America is vast, and there are so many places in America you can go that are really great. And I think by proxy, getting out is a lot harder, but it shouldn't discount the wonderful experience it is to experience other countries, to experience other cultures. And I don't know, I mean, as an adult, like I have a pretty basic job, but all of my money kind of gets saved and used for travel. So I don't know. I mean, to me, I think as a kid, it seemed like a rich person thing. It was a thing that only really the upper class got to do. And I've just sort of personally changed that idea for myself. And it's been really beneficial, like despite my original perception of it.
I also think it's a generational thing. I mean, because when I think about like our parents, they certainly not only I know Dad has voiced before that it wasn't just that they didn't leave the country for vacations and stuff. It just wasn't something he thought about doing. Like he just, it didn't occur to him that like, oh, well, for vacation, instead of going to the beach this year, why don't we go to Mexico? I mean, like it just wasn't something that he thought about doing. And I know that it was something that I planned on doing from my teenage years for sure. I knew that I was going to go travel. I wanted to. I sought it out, and have just, and every time I do, it makes me want to do it more. Is that something that like you and your friends talk about? Like, am I right that it's a generational shift that as we move forward, like more and more people want to, and of course it's easier than it used to be, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, man. I want to go out of the country at some point soon. Or not soon, but just at some point.
Do you have like your list? I always had my list.
Of places I want to go?
Where's your top place, Riley?
Definitely. Top place I want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Somewhere in, I don't know, like somewhere in Europe maybe?
Yeah.
Either Europe or the UK.
Okay.
Love to go to the UK.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. Be a lot
I
of fun.
think that's like a normal thought to start with, because that's where I started my travels abroad. But I always knew like I really wanted to. I read, like I've alluded to before, I read Cry the Beloved Country. It said I've got to go to Africa someday. And then I went to Malawi, and it was awesome. And
And then you did it.
it was everything I dreamed of. Yeah, that I
Great
did.
job, Sid.
So thank you. So I'm done now.
Job done now.
Drop the mic.
Don't do that. It looks expensive.
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
but
you'd
it
have
really,
to pick it up first and then drop it, to be fair.
yeah, I know. I'm not holding it. I could. No, but I do think it is, as we've all kind of alluded to, it's an important experience to get out there and like challenge yourself, and whether you do it alone or with other people. Because I haven't traveled much on my own, but I still think the benefits are there, and to see things from a different perspective. Not to discount those family vacations though, because
All that seafood, all that low country boil. Those memories.
And that's where, I mean, those stories that really like that we've all been sharing and talking about, that I mean, that keep you in touch with, especially for us, like the people that we're related to and the people that know us in ways that sometimes we're embarrassed to admit. I remember from one of our vacations with you, Riley. Now, Taylor, I think we were meeting you where we were going, so you weren't in the car at this moment, but we were in the car together. We actually borrowed our grandparents' van, so we were in a van.
I know what you're talking
And I was
about.
sitting in the back seat with Riley, and Mom and Dad always folded down the back seat for us. This is so bad. Now that I'm a parent, I know this. They would always fold down the back seat
middle
on family
seats.
vacations. Yeah, or the middle seats.
Yeah.
So that we could just like lay down, like just roll around in the back of the car.
If there was
Like
an accident, we were
unsecured.
going straight through the skylight. Like just
Yeah, that is not. Don't do this. Don't, like, this is not okay. I know this now, but it never occurred to me when I was a kid. So they had done this for Riley. I was sitting up, but Riley was just like rolling around in the floor of the van, with like her blanket and her pillow. I mean, it's very comfy, not safe, but very comfy.
Yeah.
And we stopped right before we got on the road. It was like we were 30 minutes outside of town, and we stopped at a fast food restaurant, and we got some food and some drinks, and Riley got the biggest, in my mind, it's the biggest Sprite anyone has ever bought.
No, I would like to point out this was several years ago. Like this is before the preteen. I was a tween.
It was this giant Sprite, and she put it in the cup holder that was right over her head. And right as Dad accelerates to pull out on the interstate, it just falls right out of that cup holder and just like drenches Riley in Sprite. I mean, like that we are flooded in the back seat with Sprite. And Dad does not stop. When we are on a road trip,
no.
our father does not stop for any reason. So Riley was going to be sticky and wet, and there was no way we were stopping. And her only response to this is I'm like trying to pick up ice because there's ice everywhere and everything's wet. Riley's only response is, now my soda's gone. But there was no way.
Hey, you said Dad doesn't stop. This is the first drink I'd gotten in a few hours.
Yeah, because if he gives you drinks and you're gonna pee, it's like a horrible process.
It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle.
I remember Dad saying, hang your butt out the window if you've got to pee. We're not stopping.
Well, do you remember when one of us got sick in the car and puked in a bag because we
I've
wouldn't
heard
stop to
this
puke? We would just puke in bags and just throw it out the window, and it dived by our car, dive bombed the car behind us.
Dad would. The low
Save
country
it for the
Tommy does not
tailgater.
stop.
Low country Tom.
Bam!
He's got to make good time. And along those lines, anytime we went to an amusement park on a family vacation, I know you've experienced this, Riley. It is. We get there. It's like we go to Disney World, and there are rides And then there's the walking between them. And we're going to minimize the walking between them as much as possible and run flat out, like run from ride to ride. That was the entire, every theme park we ever went to. That was the entire experience, was just like trying to follow Dad. And Dad's tall and has these long legs. And he'd be just like booking it through the park and all of us just running behind trying to keep
We gotta get to Space Mountain.
We don't want to waste time waiting in line. We don't want to waste time. Let's just get there. Come on, get there.
It's also the same in airports. Like, not even like rushing to get to a connection. Just like we have like 2 hours until our next flight, and we'll look up, and Dad will just be all the way down the hallway, like already at our next gate, and we're all the way back here. Like, how'd he get up there so fast? Dad, where you go? We have 2 hours.
He runs every. Yep.
And this is the man that when we did have a plan to go to Disney World and there was a hurricane, we went anyway.
we did go.
We went a hurricane.
That was
Half the
Hurricane
park was
Aaron.
closed.
Yes.
It was still barreling rain, and we were just being led around the park in raincoats, just through the blinding rain. We're gonna enjoy ourselves today. We are.
You say raincoats, and that sounds adorable. Let's be honest, though. They were matching Disney ponchos.
Those awful ponchos.
We were in matching Disney World ponchos. and I still remember Mickey Mouse called to wake us up that morning. We got a wake-up call from Mickey Mouse, and Taylor was, I mean, thrilled. She was so excited. She loved Mickey Mouse.
Hard.
And Mickey Mouse was calling us. And she answers the call, and it's like, hey, this is Mickey Mouse. And then he just gives her a list of like all the rides that are closed, all the attractions.
All of the rides except for like 2.
Pertinent travel information from a cartoon character
advised.
to your child.
He caps it off with like, and also, because of your location in the hotel, you won't be receiving maid service or room service today. Have a magical day.
You can ride on the rides and eat nothing.
Have a magical day. My Mickey Mouse is okay, right?
I was
Like,
gonna say, that was a good Mickey Mouse.
I practice it a lot because Charlie loves Mickey Mouse.
Oh, I know. That was
No, there was a very like traumatizing image of like there was a metal Mickey Mouse outside of our hotel room, like in the garden, and the hurricane wind's just blown its head completely off.
That was a rough family vacation. See, family vacations didn't get good until you came along,
Like,
Riley.
I know.
Sitting on the beach, eating low country boil, not that bad.
yeah.
This is like Wally World stuff.
All that
Well,
breakneck speed.
Well, family, this has been a lot of fun.
It has been.
I've enjoyed discussing our embarrassing family story. We have now embarrassed all of us and members of our family who weren't here and submitted to embarrassment.
Riley, I would like to take it a step further and just let you know, as a teen, when you're traveling, perhaps the most important thing you can remember to do is when you're traveling on your own, like your parents aren't there to remind you to do some of the things that you maybe should naturally be doing. Change your underwear. Change your underwear and take a shower every day.
Why do you say that?
Oh, I was on a trip, a school trip, and I think it was the first time that I had left home. And there was like, it was, my mom had packed my bags, as you know, it's kind of normal. And I went to this week-long camp, and it came time to take a shower. And I remember I walked in, I kind of like checked it out first. I went in the shower room and I was like, oh, these showers are just like all together? What? I have to shower with other people? I've never done this. I don't want to do this. And I just thought, the first night I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. Just forget it. And then the second night rolls around. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I don't feel comfortable being like in this situation. And I came back and my mom opened my suitcase and she was like, honey, why are there 5 perfectly folded pairs of underwear in your suitcase? Completely untouched, completely. And I was like, oh, I folded them. Just like, no, you didn't.
And she knew that was a lie.
No, you didn't. Yeah, so just remember, do the basics.
I'll have to,
Just do the
I'll have to
basics.
keep that in mind.
So there you go, Riley. Change your underwear. Shower. Don't drink. Just don't.
And
And change your underwear.
and
just don't.
unlike Dane, who was like too young to know better when he did his business in the backyard. I think I was like 12 or 13. That's like way too old to be doing this. So yeah, just remember, hit the basics.
There you go. Now you've got some advice. And when all else fails, don't call 911. Don't call 911, but go get an adult.
To call 911.
Unless you should, then do.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for this wonderful experience of getting to reminisce and share with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to all of our listeners. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being such an active group of listeners. Check out our Facebook group, our Still Buffering Facebook group, because there's always cool stuff going on. And now there's like, not only is there a book club, but now we have a pen pal list.
Yeah, people are getting
starting
pen
up.
pals.
And I saw a video game group.
Yeah, there's like a video game group now too.
Yeah, there's a video game group. So there's all kinds of whatever your interests are. You will find people who share them. So come find some friends. You can check out our Twitter at StillBuff. If you want to send us ideas for shows or whatever is on your mind, you can email us at stillbuffering at maximumfun.org. maximumfun.org. And check out maximumfun.org for a lot of other wonderful podcasts. We are lucky enough to be part of a fantastic network of all kinds of great shows. So please come check those out as well. Thank you also to the Novellas for our theme song, Baby You Change Your Mind.
Yeah.
And thank you, sisters and cousin.
Thanks.
Thank you, sisters.
That was a good
and
time.
Yeah. This has been Still Buffering, a sister's guide to teens through the ages. I am Riley Smirl.
I'm Sydney McRoy.
And I'm Taylor Smirl.
And I'm Kyle. Or West Virginia Caveman.
I am a teenager.
And I was too.
I'm Allegra Ringo, a dog owner.
And I'm Renee Colbert, a dog wanter, and we host a show called Can I Pet Your Dog? The podcast for unapologetic dog lovers.
You can find us every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org or on iTunes.
So, now what is this? Is it just a podcast where all we do is talk about dogs? Yeah, sort of. We definitely have a segment called Dogs We Met This Week, where we tell you about, dogs we met this week.
We also have a segment called Dog Heroes, as well as Cool Dog Tech and Stupid Dog Tech.
We also have some of your favorite celebrities. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who did Hamilton, has been a guest. We've got Leslie Margarita.
We've had Nicole Byer, Ann Wheaton, all the best dog-related celebrities. So check us out every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org or on iTunes.
Can I pet your dog?
Can I pet your dog?
Renee and Allegra.
CIPYD.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture. Artist owned.
Listener supported.